Hi, so yes,
Good.
Ori. Hi, good morning, Ori. What's going on?
Good. I wanted to tell. I said it's the shul, Mashal for Shavuot. I wanted to tell you.
Amazing. Oh, great. You spoke in shul over Shavuot?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the Mashal, the story is like this. There's a Chacham, a Jew. A Jew. This is a very smart Jew. He's a learned, and so he goes on a boat. And on the boat, on the boat there's socharim, people who sell stuff, and so
Merchants, yeah.
they say, I have this and I have this and I'm so rich and I'm selling this and I'm so rich and I'm the best in everything, and so then they come and they ask the Jew, and the Jew tells them, I have the most. I have more than all of you have together. And so they really want to know what they what he has. So they say maybe he has special stones, maybe he has yalomim, maybe he has kutan, a special kind of kutan. And so they want to know so much that they go to the Ravafuvel. How do you say
Captain?
that?
The
Captain,
captain?
yeah. Yeah, captain. And they ask him, what did this Jew bring with him? What Torah did he bring?
Right, what are his
And
wares? Yeah.
yeah, and so the captain says he didn't bring anything. And so they go and check in his room, and they don't see anything. And so they come and start laughing at him and say, you don't have anything. And like this. So he doesn't answer back, and he just continues learning Torah. And then after a little time, pirates come and take all the stuff, all the stuff the people brought, and all the riches, all the stuff they have. And so they left just with their clothes on the floor on them. And so then they get close to land, and the Jew tells them, now look at what I'm doing and see that I have more than all of what you have. And so when they get to the land, he goes
So
off
what's
and
his shechora?
what?
Does he tell them what's his chora? What's his merchandise? What are his goods?
The Torah, but that's like the stuff that you see, that's like kind of the understanding. Because kind of like he goes to the Bet Midrash and he started to talk to the people who are in charge of the Bet Midrash, and they see that very smart Jews. He learned a lot and everything, and so they call all the people in the Bet Midrash, and they do a synagogue, and they listen to his speech and everything. And so like he speaks about Quran and everything. And then afterwards at the end he tells the Jews, can you please like give the people who came with me a place to stay and some money for food and to go back home, because because the pirates took all their money. And so they give them a place to stay, food and money to go back and everything. And then the people who came with him on the ship, they come and tell him sorry, like we laughed at you and said not nice things on you, because now we see like that you were right. And so yes, and so he tells
So
them,
it's
yeah, and so he tells them, now you see that the Torah can stay forever, and money can't. And yeah, so I wanted to ask you what's the meaning, what's the Misha, like
So there's a number of them. First of all, on a simple level, it reminds me of the old Yiddish phrase, Sefeda is the best of Sefeda, right? They say, Torah is the best merchandise. Now, why is Torah the best merchandise? Generally speaking, what happened in this mashal where everybody lost all their money and the Torah practically was able to help them, get them a place to stay because of the respect this rabbi had, that's not what normally happens, right? Normally, Torah in itself is not necessarily going to get you food and a place to stay, right? This mashal, by the way, is so close to the famous story, and I think I may have mentioned it to you in the past. Whether the historical accuracy is 100%, this story is told by everybody as an explanation of how Ashkenazi Jewry really began about 1,000 years ago. And that was that there were 4 rabbis who were fundraising from Babel, modern day Iraq, which is where the center of all the yeshivot were at that time, the time of the Gaonim, right? You had Surah, Pumbedisa, these great yeshivot. And the ship was actually captured by pirates. And when they went to Europe to these very small Jewish communities that had no Torah learning, no scholarship, they sold the rabbis. They were ransomed by these communities. Of appreciation, they stayed there and they built up the beginnings of Torah. A lot of these rabbanim, them, their sons, their grandsons were those who learned with Rashi, the Bali Tosfot. On the Gemara page, in many of them sections, you have like Rabbi Hananel on the side, very small writing, who was sort of the predecessor of Rashi. Right? Rashi was using some of his writings as the basis of his form of his writings, and that was his father was one of those captives. So in that case too, their Torah, practically speaking, was Sechora. The fact that they were able to teach Torah was considered by these Ashkenazi communities to be an incredible commodity. They had nobody who could do that, and in the end, it actually built up the communities that me and you come from. The interesting thing about the mashal as well, it's very different in one key way from that mashal that I told you a few times about the person who hears about the island where the streets are lined with diamonds, and he goes there for a year, but then while he's there, diamonds aren't worth anything. And what's worth something, do you remember, on that island? What's worth a lot of money?
Yeah, the oil,
Fish oil, right? Fish oil, stinky fish oil. And he brings back all the stinky fish oil, and his wife is like, "You're crazy. Why did you bring back the fish oil?" And he has in his pocket a little handful of diamonds that he picked up when he first got there. But that story, the idea is that in this world, the things that are truly valuable, the Sechora of Torah and Mitzvot, don't really get you that much in this world. They get you in Olam Haba, right? You plant the seeds in this world with the Torah and Mitzvot, and then you reap the reward in the next world. In your mashal, it's a little bit different, right? In your mashal, we're talking about the value of Torah in this world, right? And even though in that story the mashal is, getting them a place to stay, food, the mishal, I think we can think about what are the deeper things that you can get with Torah in this world. What is the value of Torah in Olam Hazeh, not just Olam Haba? So what do you think? What are the sort of values of the Torah in this world, not just in the next world? And let's, for the sake of this argument, let's look beyond just money, right? In other words, I'm a Rabbi. So if I have a job, they'll pay me to teach Torah, right? Or technically speaking, you're not supposed to get paid to teach Torah. Maybe they're paying me for watching their kids or for the preparation that I put in. But technically speaking, that's not what we're talking about, actually money, right? What are the other things that you get in this world by having Torah?
As you can see in the story, so you get to taste. People behave to you nicely. They give you a place to live, to stay. You can see.
Again, well, one of those things, not the place to stay. We said that leave aside, but the kavod is very interesting. In other words, they're looking at him as a different person because he has Torah.
Yeah, I wanted to say that also Hashem is like he's like with you and he does like everything like will be good. Like skip everything will be okay and nothing will happen to you. He smiles on you.
If you have Torah, then you're going to be okay in what way? In a practical way?
Well, I mean, like
your safety, your money, your health.
your health and your safety.
I don't know that that's true. I mean, if a person is a person who lives a Torah lifestyle, does that mean that they're not going to have any sarot? They're not going to have financial problems?
Well,
Not
they
really. To take you, but I think to take you back for a minute to the Viktor Frankl idea, right? Do you remember Viktor Frankl? He was the fellow who survived the Holocaust, and then he created logotherapy. Do you remember? And so his whole idea of how he was able to survive the concentration camps was that I can't control whether I'm here. In other words, I'm in this situation. Physically, I'm a prisoner. There's nothing I can do. I didn't run away. I didn't become a partisan. I didn't join ghetto uprising. I'm here in a concentration camp. So what can I control? I can't control whether I'm here, but I can control what?
If I want to continue, yeah.
My hashkafa, right? My outlook, how I'm going to deal with it. Yeah?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing in terms of Torah. Yeah, Torah is not going to necessarily make a person wealthy. It's not going to make a person healthy even necessarily. Not that there, aren't parts that we could use. We can common for our health and our wealth. We can ask Hashem for it, but it's not a magic formula. It's not. But what we can control is how we deal with it. If a person has Torah, so then everything is put into a context where they can deal with it. In other words, if a person has money or they don't have money, but they believe that Hashem decided whether they should have money or not have money, or have health or not have health. And in that circumstance, it's not as difficult, because if it's Mina Shemayim, then it's my tafkid, it's my job, it's my purpose, and I'll deal with it, whatever it is. So the Torah lifestyle, the Torah ideal, what does it give you in this world? What's one thing? It gives you a belief system that helps you deal with whatever happens in this world, good or bad, right?
Yes.
What's the bracha we say when somebody dies? We actually have a bracha. Do you know what it is?
No, I heard you say, but I think you talked about it with us. I forget.
So we say if somebody dies, the person who's an avel, they tear kriya, and when they tear kriya, there's a bracha. They say Baruch Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, Dayan ha'emet, the true judge, right? So this idea of Hashem and Din, being a judge, being Dayan, that means that it's something that in this world is difficult. In this world, we view it as judgment. But the fact that we're saying a bracha, the fact that we are people who, when somebody dies, which is obviously the worst thing that can happen from this world, right? There's nothing worse. I mean, sometimes we can say, oh, the person is very sick, it's merciful, but the loss is absolute. And from the perspective of this world, the loss is permanent, right? We believe in the soul living beyond the body, but from this world, the loss is permanent. There's nothing worse. And yet we saying a bracha. Why? Why are we saying a bracha on the worst possible thing? It seems like we should be saying klala.
Because like the young Emet is like it's the one who had what he did in his life. It's the white like the good and the guilty, like
I missed that. Can you repeat that?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I missed that.
like the Yana Emet is like the one who checks if you did good things and everything you should do, like for the good and the will thing, and not like, look, he needs like to move his reduce, so maybe like he gets like something in the Olam Haba in some way, or like he did this thing and it is more than the other one. And so it's like,
I mean, I guess there is a recognition when you're saying Diana, there is a recognition in that there's something beyond this world. And really what we're saying is that we, because we're humans and we're physical, we have in this world things that are good, things that are bad, things that are very good or very bad. But really, from Hashem's perspective, there's no such thing as good or bad. Just because we don't understand how it works into the larger plan, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work into the larger plan. It doesn't mean Hashem didn't do it for a purpose or a reason. Just for us, it's very difficult because we can't see everything Hashem sees. But again, when a person has Torah, when a person has a Torah belief in the Torah lifestyle, they can accept that. They can accept that there are things that I don't understand. There are things that are beyond my understanding. I think I told you in the past about a Rabbi of mine, Rabbi Price, who needs a Rosh Lema. He's in ICU, emergency room in Israel, on a respirator, on and off, but he should live and be well. But he had a very challenging life in many ways. He had polio as a child, and he still is crippled from that, open heart surgery. And every single speech he gives, every single one, he says that if you keep the Torah, you will have a better life in this world and, in other words, cause, purpose, and meaning, and belief. That is the Torah of Torah, is that it gives my life meaning and purpose. Does that make sense?
yes.
Of course, if the Torah is not emet, then what does it matter? I could follow any religion and say it gives me belief in this world. Obviously, the fact that it's emet, obviously the fact that it's true, makes it even more meaningful. A person does not have to suspend their reason to believe in Yahadut.
Why do you take him like a bit into another subject in some way? Because
It's okay.
like, when you get into like Yeshua and Christianity, so they say that what they do is the real thing, the like the real thing, and then you're saying that what you're doing is too is the real thing. So like you can't.
What's your question? How do you know? What's your question?
How
Is
do
it a
you
good
know?
thing?
And how do you know? And like when you say that I will think, and that what we do will things that they think the same, so they have the same. They have the same meaning in the world.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's a great question. And the truth of the matter is twofold, okay? Number one, the question is, if we look at it with intellectual honesty, do we really believe their version of the story? So first of all, I always tell my students, and just yesterday in the afternoon I was learning with somebody who's considering converting to Judaism and asked me to learn with him, and I was trying to explain to him this very idea. Christianity, Islam, the other religions, when they start their belief, in other words, when they start their story, they accept our Torah, right? They accept that our Torah is true. They accept that Hashem gave the Torah on Har Sinai. Why do they accept that? They accept that because national revelation, the idea of 2 million people experiencing Hashem at Har Sinai is not something that you can deny, as opposed to their beliefs, which, why would I choose to follow their religion? Because their leader is a particularly good teacher, a dynamic person. He seems godly. I'm believing him that he spoke to Hashem. But it wasn't, you saw I spoke to Hashem because you were there, the whole nation was there. Here's a story I'm telling you. And in his case, in the case of Christianity, what's their story? That Hashem said the laws of the Torah are no longer applicable. Well, that's a pretty easy thing to disprove because the Torah says over and over and over again, if a person says, Hashem came to me in a prophecy, Hashem came to me in a Nebuah and said, you don't have to keep the mitzvot of the Torah anymore. You know what that person is called? There's a name for such a person in the Torah. You know what it is? I'll give you a hint. He's Chayav Mitah if you prove that he's doing this. It's called Navi Sheker, false prophet, right? You be familiar with the Parsha of Navi Sheker, false prophet? If a person comes and tries to give... So it's funny, I don't know if I ever told you the story. The Christian once was really bothering me, asking me why we don't believe in their religion. And when I was trying to go through the sources with them, I noticed that in their translation of the Torah, they took out Navi Sheker. They took out those psukim. I told you that, right? They literally took out the psukim that talk about Navi Sheker because right away you have to throw out their entire belief. Because Hashem said, I will not do that. I will not say the mitzvot of the Torah are permanently suspended. Now, I might say that for today, you don't have to do this mitzvah, like Eliyahu and Navi on Mel, where they were violating laws in terms of where you're allowed to bring korban and stuff like that. That Hashem can tell a Navi, but to permanently get rid of the law of the Torah, that's in and of itself a proof that it's false. So all you have to do is just cut out those words and cut out those lines. Now, beyond that, there's another question, and this I think is interesting as well, and that is, we are a tiny percentage of the world's population. Is there a value for everybody else in following their religions? And let's say that their religions didn't have things in it that are making them try to kill us and destroy us, whether it was the Crusades, the Christians, whether it's fundamentalist Islam today. Let's take that out of the equation for a second and say, is there a value for them in their religions, even if it's not really true in the strict sense of the word?
Well, in some way, they should not make what they do. They should have a value because they think that's the God. They think that's the way. In a different way.
I'm not 100% sure. You were cutting in and out, but were you saying that for them, from their perspective, it's emet, it's truth? Is that what you were saying?
I'm trying to say, like, but it's not like once we go, we go against, we do this God, we do Hashem, and so they do Hashem also but in a different way. So maybe they do get like in a way a bit of like get maybe less than us with the whole righteousness. They dive into one God.
I think this is a very interesting idea. It's not an idea that is without controversy, right? Some people have gotten themselves, sort of into theological, that means religious thought, deep water with this. But to me, I think there's an idea in the Rambam, in the Mishnah Torah, that really hints to this a little bit, right? The Rambam at the end of Malachim Malchoteim, when he's talking about Acharit HaYamim, when he's talking about the end of days, Mashiach, what he says is that for the other religions, his example there is Christianity, because the Rambam's life was threatened by Almohan Muslims. he didn't really have that many positive things to say about Islam, a religion that he was, in his youth, his family was forced to, dress and act a certain way even. But in terms of Christianity, what he says is that when Mashiach comes, they will have been prepared, because a lot of their ideas and their beliefs, even though they're not, strictly true, they're not 100% perfect, but they introduce to a lot of ideas that are true. And that's the thing. And that's absolute, and that's Torah, Hashem. That's the only place you're going to find absolute truth. But people who are choosing to live a moral lifestyle, a religious lifestyle, they can bring a lot of positive things to this world. Whether it's chesed, right? Whether it's, now, think for 1 second, the world right before Christianity, we're talking about the Roman world, we're talking about a world where they had no value of human life, whether it was making people fight in fighting pits, slaves fighting to the death, whether it was the fact that if a child was at all deformed or disabled, they would just let them die when they were born rather than have them live. They literally did not value human life. And those religions that came at that point, Christianity, Islam later on, even the idea of the value of every human life is something that is very important in the world. And through that, the world has become a better place. So they may not have the absolute truth, but it doesn't mean that they don't have positive values that they bring to the world as well. She's supposed to be back here. My baby gets in trouble when she goes through the cabinets. Your sister is going through the cabinets.
Yeah. She's doing Margaret.
My baby, when she starts doing that, everything gets destroyed. You've seen it. You've seen her wreak havoc.
Yeah.
So you're seeing what I'm saying. I think, and this is really a very controversial idea. A lot of people, I think, might get upset, but I think that historically speaking, there is a value to those religions and beliefs. Now, when did they lose that value? They lose that value when they went to the extreme. And for example, in Christianity, when this guy got up and said, we have to go and murder all the Muslims and take Yerushalayim back. And while we're there, let's convert or kill all the Jews on the way. Okay, so right away, you start to go to the extreme, you start to express values that put other people's lives in danger, you stop respecting other people's beliefs, I think you've lost the value. In the same way today with fundamentalist Islam, right? If your belief says that you have to kill other people who have a different belief, I'm not sure that there's much value left in what you're teaching. But the inherent values of those religions, the things they did, chesed, value of human life, those things I think do have value. The Rambam's point was even in terms of the idea of the Mashiach, although, they certainly distort it as well. So let's wrap up your mashal and what comes out of it. I think your mashal is very interesting because it discusses the value of Torah not only in Olam Haba, which has a value that is a spiritual value, a spiritual idea. That's what we usually look at. But we're saying Torah has a value in this world as well, whether it's practical in terms of parnassah, but really deeper. Yeah? Now, the problem is, by the way, the downside, and I think this is a whole other lesson, a whole other idea, and I'll give you a horrible sort of, to me, this horrible sort of example. My friend was very upset. He showed me an article, and the article was the response of OU, Orthodox Union, right? You know OU, the kosher symbol? Kashrut officials, when people ask them about mistreatment of animals in kosher slaughterhouses, and what about morality, they asked them. And one of the rabbis actually said that those things are separate, right? There's the law and there's morality, and the two are not necessarily intrinsically connected. And to me, that is the furthest thing from the truth, right? To me, on the contrary, if you are observing the halakha, you're observing the law, and it's figured out and discovered that morality is not there, that it's against morality, then you have to question whether you should be observing the law in that way, right? Because the whole reason we keep the Torah is because it's moral, not if it's moral or if it's not moral. Understand? So this, it's funny because this rabbi who my friend wrote the article, he was saying that he doesn't want to eat kosher meat because he feels like even though it's kosher, there's so many other things that are going on that are not kosher in a moral sense. And the other rabbis were saying, we don't care. So, that's sort of, the question you have to start to ask yourself, is there morality and Torah working together? Because the whole point of the Torah is that it brings the ideas of right and wrong to the world, not a separate path, right? Here's morality and here's the Torah. No, here is morality, which is the definition of Torah. The challenge is, and again, this is a whole other idea, but the challenge is when we have to try to figure out, is this value that I have really true morality, or is it a value that I have because of the world I live in the society I live in, right? Sometimes the thing that we think is a true moral value maybe is not, right? Okay, I was hoping to actually get in the other piece today, but I think we'll hold it here, and Be'ezer Hashem tomorrow, maybe we can discuss the other half, the other piece as well that I wanted to put in there. All right? Great job, and it should be up in a few minutes, okay? Great job. Have a great day.
You too.